Follow at Buckwood and you'll be all right.
What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, family? Got my main man Winston here. You know who I am. But would you Justin tapping in with y'all again, man? We're just gonna go over some market updates, kind of let the people know what's going on out there. Winston, how you feeling?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. How about yourself?
Loving life, man. Loving life. Happy to be back at it. We both kind of got caught up with different life things. Taking a while, took us a while to get back on track, but we're here now. So
yeah, had to take a break like Andre. Had to get out of there for a minute.
I heard that. So what's your thoughts, man? What's your thoughts? Let's pull up a screen here so that way some of the people can see what we're looking at. Boom. What's your thoughts on the market right now, man?
Man, it's beautiful. You know, it was much needed after just months and months of red. So, yes, I mean, it's good to see the Bulls waking back up or some things just to pump some light back into the market.
Definitely. You didn't get scared out of your positions and capitulate, did you?
No. The only thing I capitulated out of was some NFTs because you know it when the whole thing that happened with the apes and the punks recently, I think more people are starting to realize that utility is important. And so I was like, okay, even before that, I was like, this utility move on the NFTs is going to be the big thing for 2022 and beyond. So, projects that just had a bunch of hype on it and I've been sitting on for a year and they've done nothing. I was like, I'm just offloading.
Right, exactly. It's kind of like, all right, I gave you a shot and you underperformed, so it's time to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been pretty hype on the NFT wave, but that's a story for another day, everybody. That's a story for another day. We'll do a separate video on that. But I think the market's been looking pretty good. Bitcoin pushed back up to about 47, 48K. It clearly took out. Oh, I think my subscription ran out. I got to update that. Boom. Let's go ahead and pull up Bitcoin real quick, just to get an idea of what we're looking at. I've been talking about being inside of a noise box for a minute now. And basically just saying that anything between 35K and 42K is really just noise. And this is on a weekly basis. We came down. We had if you look back in December, the highest we were back in December was around 47K. We came in and put a low around 35K, and on a weekly basis, this is put in a higher low at 44, and then a lower high at 45 and then a higher low at 37. So the market structure was seeming that we could continue to go back up. And now that we've closed outside of this box, I'm looking for possibly to get some type of retest to come and maybe grabbing a little bit into more positions around this yellow circle here. So if Bitcoin falls back anywhere around 44 to 42K, I'm loading back up. So I got some positions still now, but if that happens, I think it could be go time.
So let me ask you this, man. Do you think that the news about what Terra is doing, do you think that gave the market the jump, or was it the broader macroeconomic situation? Like, what's your ideas around what gave Bitcoin this jump over the last few days?
I definitely think the Do Kwon stepping in and announcing that Terra was going to be backed by Bitcoin and Bitcoin was going to be their reserves, helped. Obviously, he was buying, what was it, like 1.5 billion or something? I'm not sure how much, but something like that. Hey, Al, what's good, my guy? So I definitely think that was big. But at the end of the day, I think people you know what? Let me actually read you this exact text message because I was speaking with someone about this earlier today, and I just thought they were spot on with what they were saying. So give me 1 second. Let me pull this up for you. The overall about the sentiment of what they were saying, it was my buddy Danny. So shout out to you, Danny. Was that the market's already been hit with pretty much everything that we can throw at it, right? Regulation with the Biden thing ended up to be a good thing. Also with the interest rate hikes, we had those kind of already priced in, but people are kind of calling the bluff. We had World War III almost happened, right? And with all these things, Bitcoin was still able to hold its higher high. Middle of January when it came. I'm sorry, its low point at 35K. So middle of January when it came down to 35K, everyone thought 20K was coming. It was the end of the world, and it still could be, right? 20K is definitely still in play, in my opinion, until we take out about 51, 52K. But with all those different things being thrown at it, and it's still held fairly strong, I just think that it was just too much bullishness overall. What do you think was the main catalyst on your end? I think that again, because people didn't capitulate when all these things came at it, that the market's just turning back around. Well, what about you?
Yeah, I agree with that. All those things, and then when people realize that the Fed is going to hike, but it's probably not going to be as severe as they initially thought. So, it's like, man, that quantitative easing, Alistair, that quantitative easing, I mean, it's a drug. And to be honest, I just don't think that we are ready for what really needs to happen in order to do what needs to happen to tame inflation the way it needs to be tamed. So I mean, people know that the money is going to flow for a while. And yeah, you throw that on top of everything that you just mentioned. I think that people like, the good time's going to roll at least for a few more months.
At least. Well, we're and so it's been going all around Twitter how April is usually a good month for Ethereum. And so that kind of leads us into what we were going to be speaking about in regards to Ethereum and the merge. So I know you had a chance to check it out and break down a few details in regards to the merge. For those that don't know, proof of work going over to proof of stake, but there was a few minor details in how many steps it was going to take to fully complete the merge and when different things were going to take place. So what were your thoughts when you heard the news? Well, obviously we heard the news a while back, but when you heard that it was actually going to be happening here fairly shortly?
Man, when I heard that it's possibly going to happen in June, I was just kicking myself for not buying more ETH back in March of 2020. So I had this moment where, and I never forget, because I'm laying in my bed and I'm just, what most of us in crypto do, we refresh the screen over and over again for some reason.
Right. Yep.
So it's kind of like when you don't have any food in the fridge, you keep going back and looking in it just to see if there's any food magically appeared in there.
Something new might show up. I don't know.
Yeah, something new. Yeah, that ketchup packet I ain't see in there before it might appear in there. But man, I was just sitting there in the bed and I was just like, I'm looking at ETH. It was like 120 something bucks, and I'm just like, man, buy some ETH, and I bought some. And looking back, I'm like, oh, I was a genius, but I didn't buy enough. I didn't buy enough, and so I had that same feeling again when I was just hearing about the possibility that the merge is going to happen in June. I was like, dude. So that being said, that's been one of the reasons why I've been dumping some NFTs, because I'm like, I need some more ETH.
Right. Definitely, that's how the NFT market goes as well. When Ethereum is pumping, usually the NFTs kind of take a back seat to it. So for the people that don't know, you can go to ethereum.org and you can read up in regards to about the merge and a lot of other great information in regards to Ethereum as well. And I'll make sure I have these links for you guys below. But the basis of the merge, for maybe someone that doesn't know, is basically Ethereum switching from proof of work to proof of stake, implementing their sharding method, and it will be on their new chain called the Beacon chain. Nothing changes with the token. So we're talking about ETH 2.0, but it was confusing a lot of people. So there's nothing you have to really worry about on your side, other than that, knowing that it'll now be proof of stake. So that's more energy efficient. It's green friendly usually. Now, I don't know the specific details in regards to the sharding. It usually reduces fees when you go to proof of stake, but so it's not going to do that on this one. So we got a few things to work out still, but a lot of good things happening in regards to the Ethereum mainnet. All right. So really quick here, after the merge. Oh, actually, we don't need to cover any of that. A few features such as the ability to withdraw staked ETH will have to wait till a little longer after the merge is complete. So we did have a lot of people locking up merge. And there's one other site I wanted to show that we talked about a while back, and it was ultrasound.money. And on this site, it tracks the burn rate for Ethereum, and it tracks which contract addresses are burning the most Ethereum. So if we look over a 30-day period, 114,000 ETH have been burned. And this came with the implementation of EIP 1559. And we can see a lot of Ethereum does get burned from OpenSea. It's the number one smart contract that does burn Ethereum. So NFTs are still important, but we could see possibly that going down as ETH is on the rise. And after the merge, this is a cool website to check out because they have this here, Simulate Merge. And it can let you know how much Ethereum will now be deflationary, right? Because this number is negative, and it's telling you over a 30-day how much the supply of Ethereum will grow, and it'll be at negative 0.7. So something interesting, you guys. Also, I'll leave this link in the below for you as well. Now, Winston, I think you had a few things you wanted to show me. Is that right?
Yeah, there's a few things I'd like to share.
All right, so let me go ahead and grab Winston's screen up here. Bow. All right, my brother.
Yeah. So y'all know I like to talk about macroeconomics a lot. And I came from the banking world, spent some time in the banking world. And that part of the macroeconomic situation is kind of still near and dear to me. So I understand quite a bit about what's going on. And so whenever I see banking and crypto, I immediately draw my eyes to draw some attention to it. But I wanted to talk about what the banks are doing and how important this is. Oh, sorry about that. Pop-ups even happen on Brave. So forget what they tell you. But Brave is a great browser. But Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan Chase, HSBC, American Express, all these banks, a lot of the banks that were kind of poo-pooing on crypto and Bitcoin at one point, they've been jumping into the space quietly, but not so quietly anymore. And so now they're just coming out and just making announcements left and right. One thing I wanted to touch on is Goldman Sachs. They said that they completed their first over-the-counter, first OTC crypto options trade, with Galaxy Digital. That was a big move. And I think this is one of the things that kind of gave some life to the market, because it's just been a bunch of good news articles that have been coming out just one after the other. So this one was a pretty big one. People, they respect Goldman Sachs. So for them to do that with Galaxy Digital, I think that was a big market mover. And then news like this, HSBC, a huge multinational bank, has entered into the sandbox. So they're making this metaverse play. American Express is doing something similar. So they filed some trademarks to get into the metaverse. One of the big accounting firms, so this is one of the big four as far as accounting firms. They do a lot of auditing, so set a lot of standards in the space globally. KPMG, they added Bitcoin and Ethereum to its treasury, and that's a really big deal. So if you have hedge funds, if you have these huge accounting firms that are adding Bitcoin to its books, then it just solidifies what Bitcoin is. And some people will call it an inflation hedge. Some people will call it digital gold. But it just further confirms what we've been saying for the longest, that it is a valuable asset. And so, it's kind of like a popularity contest. People follow other people, and banks do the same. So when you have one bank that's doing something, then other banks are like, oh, okay, we either need to jump on this bandwagon or get left behind. And, they're competing with each other as well. But, excuse me, this was a big move, a big move for them to add it to his treasury. So it's like not just something that we're going to hold just to diversify our holdings, but we actually believe that it's something that should be on our books for various reasons. And, they don't want to get left behind the train. All right, so before I move on to Aave, because I want to spend a little bit of time on Aave, what you think about all that, Justin?
boom, boom, boom. I'm still trying to process it all. Like, okay, so KPMG is going to have their on their reserves with Bitcoin. Is that what I'm hearing? Okay, so they
Yeah.
just followed Do Kwon.
Yeah.
Nah, but I mean, obviously, I think it's huge. You know, the adoption is coming. We've been saying it for a while. One of the biggest things I always try to say, although it's not financial advice, I really like to dollar cost average while Bitcoin is under its 20-week moving average, right? So, you know, you look at the projects that you think are going to change the world or at least have some type of positive impact, whether your outlook is short term or long term. The end goal for us that believe in crypto is Bitcoin having mass adoption or crypto having mass adoption. So when we see things like this, you know, it's nothing more than a little golf clap. We keep it moving and we try to, you know, bring in as many more people as we can. So
Yeah, and it's good to see not only crypto protocols. So we seeing what's happening with Terra using Bitcoin to back up its project, but to see institutions, traditional institutions, doing the same thing to use Bitcoin to back up its treasury, to back up its operations. And so it's just further solidifying. I mean, it's with anything. We add value to what we believe is valuable. I mean, it doesn't matter what it
exactly.
is. And I think we're past the point where, I mean, we're still going to have these arguments with people, and you know, they're going to say that it's worthless and this and that. But I mean, we can say that about so many different things. But when you have just this community of banks, when you have communities of crypto protocols using Bitcoin as, you know, sort of a center, and then they're piling things around it, then it just fortifies it. I mean, it really does. It's like it's becoming like a reserve currency, you know, not only in crypto but in traditional finance, which is a big deal. And man, to be honest, like I was heavy on alts for years, and a lot of the recent action with Terra, with stuff like this, has drawn more attention, at least from me, to Bitcoin itself. I'm like, I got to rotate back into Bitcoin whenever I take profits, you know, and no matter what the price is looking like now, 5-10 years from now, we're gonna be looking at $45,000 Bitcoin. Like, dude, I should have took out, you know what I'm saying? Should have.
What were you doing?
Right. So it's just
That's
crazy
definitely.
to see what's happening. You know, it's kind of like a dream come true for us that's been in the space for a while.
I 100% agree. And it kind of speaks to like your point, like you were saying, right? If we see big banks like this coming in and legitimizing Bitcoin or crypto assets in general and saying, hey, you know, it's here now. We rather get on board than get left behind. For the people that are already here, you know, it's an amazing feeling, and it only kind of solidifies, you know, your thought process of like, hey, I wasn't crazy this whole time. You know, this bank, this company XYZ are worth billions. Soon, hopefully, Apple will have it on its balance sheet, so we can say trillions of dollars, right? If they're doing it, you know, I was doing this how many years ago? Okay, it might just work out. So, I actually, I put up a tweet just the other day, and I really thought that it resonated well with me because when you think about what's going on in the world, now is the time that the wealth is going to be created, right? Like if we can find the Amazons, the Yahoos, the Googles of this crypto digital asset boom, this is where your wealth is going to be created in 5 to 10 years. So I just get more and more excited about it, and I just try to spread it to everybody I know, but you know, to each their own. Everyone has to get there in their own path. So, all right. So what else?
Yeah, man. It's funny that you bring it up about Apple. I mean, I know it's a lot of speculation right now, but Apple might be doing something with the Apple Pay. If man, yeah, once Bitcoin comes on Apple Pay, that's a huge game changer. That's a
Oh,
whole
so
different.
you didn't? I'm not sure if you heard about this, but so the new MetaMask mobile update. If you had now, I try not to. I have MetaMask on my phone for anyone listening, but I don't keep things in that wallet, right? So say I want to mint a new NFT project, and I'm not going to be home. I'll send whatever 0.1 Ethereum to that wallet on my phone, MetaMask Mobile, and then I'll try to mint and do things from my phone that way. But I don't keep funds on the wallets on my phone, just so I think everyone should use that as best safety practices. But the new MetaMask Mobile update now allows you to buy directly crypto with Apple Pay. So it's $400. I may have misread. I don't know if it's $400 a day or $400 a week, but you're able to. So if you already have Apple Pay set up on your phone with the new MetaMask mobile wallet update, you can just say, okay, I want to buy $400 worth of Ethereum today. Boom, sends it from Apple Pay right to your MetaMask account, and you're good to go. So there are innovations coming to the space to make it easier for people, and I feel like that only kind of leads more into the space getting adopted more. What up, A? Appreciate you tapping in. But yeah, so that's super dope that we got these banks coming in. Obviously, we got Apple, where people are making it easier and easier to access crypto every single day. So it's really, really good. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, you can leave them in the chat as well, and we'll try to answer them, whether it's what prices, what's going up, should I've already bought, should I've already sold. I ain't going to give you no advice, but, I can speak for mine. All right, so what else you got for us, Winston?
All right, so I brought up all that information about the banks because banks have been for years, and like I said, they're becoming more vocal about it, but they've been trying to figure out how do we either compete with DeFi or how do we join DeFi. And I think we're starting to see more of the latter than the former at first. And there's still a push for it. I mean, we see, and I don't want to get any attention talking about any politicians, but we see how hard Senator Warren, I mean, she goes against just crypto, period. It's not just DeFi, it's not CeFi. I mean, it's just like crypto. Like, she's just like, it's all bad.
I ain't having it.
I know. It's crazy. It's crazy. So, there's still a push. There's a lot of lobbying that's still going on from it's like the old regime, the establishment. They're really pushing against it hard, but some of them are starting to realize, like, okay, there's tens of millions of wallet holders in the U.S. alone, and it's just growing at this rapid pace. Those chain analysis reports on adoption, they're so good just to see how many new wallets are being opened. And, the government has this information as well, and these banks have this information. So I think they're starting to say, all right, well, how do we legally do this? How can we do this in a way with regulations? And Aave Arc has provided that, along with some other protocols as well. But Aave Arc is that bridge from CeFi, centralized finance, traditional finance, to DeFi, to decentralized finance. And so with Aave Arc, this is a little older article, but when they instituted this, they basically helped create the framework to allow institutions to offer DeFi protocols to, and of course, it's to accredited investors first. It's like it's kind of like the playground for the rich first. But right. Fortunately for us, that at least the way it is now, we don't know how things are going to change with regulation, but we get to do so many different things in DeFi. I'm going on a tangent here, but we get to do all this stuff in DeFi. I mean, we get to be the bank right now from your bedroom, from your office, from your phone on DeFi. I mean, like leveraging assets, doing all kind of things. I mean, this is crazy. So the bank is realizing that the average person is being turned on to this. And even if DeFi is just so far out, people are just saying, like, okay, I got this money sitting in the bank. Y'all paying me 0.5% interest. I can throw my money on Nexo and get 8%, or I can go to Anchor and get 20%. They're like, so the banks are like, okay, we gotta use our interface.
Do something.
Right. They're seeing the shift. They're seeing people leaving and taking their money out. Yeah.
And to speak to that, that's brings me right into another point I wanted to bring up about I don't know, DeFi Kingdoms. So they had their Crystal Veil launch today, where they were able to go ahead and have their subnet launch on Avalanche. So for anyone listening, if you haven't done this before, right? So Winston was just talking about how DeFi is important, how the banks are starting to realize that, and the banks are trying to hop on the wave as well. Well, the biggest thing for us is to be able to take that power and use it for ourselves. This is a very easy way. It seems complicated, but just like if you're playing a new video game, more than 10 minutes into the game, you understand, the mechanics of it, and it's easy to play. So if you have a chance, I would go to game.defykingdoms.com and check it out. I'm not going to go all the way through it. I will connect here though. Oh, let me get that off here, y'all. You know what I mean? I don't know. Hold up now. So they have the Crystal Veil here now. This is a new update that just came out. Sarandale is the previous. Now these are the realms that you're in, right? And the thing that makes DeFi Kingdoms cool is the fact that you can. Oops, let me get onto the Harmony network. Sorry. Is the fact that it's interactive with the way that you're using DeFi. I'm going to try to turn off this music. I'm not sure if you guys can hear that music, but it is not very good. All right. So you have your tavern, your marketplace, your docks. So your docks will take you between the Crystal Vale town and the Serenade town. You have the gardens. The gardens are where you're going to do your farming, right? So this is a gamified way to interact with DeFi. Now, you click here and you're like, all right, let me just click around and figure out what's going on. And now I'm going to check out my gardens. And this is where I can go ahead and stake and earn yield, right? I can earn yield on different types of investments. So if I wanted to go ahead and plant some seeds, right, I could deposit Jewel 1, earn 436% APR. Jewel Tematic, and there's a bunch of different. I'm not going to go through them all, but you can see the different type of APRs. And this is a way that different protocols are coming out with what they call as GameFi. And I know we've talked about this before, DeFi with gaming kind of mixed into it, but I just think it's a really cool. They just launched their Crystal Vale, which is a new map, and I just think more people should know about it and try it out. So if you have the time, definitely check out Jewel. A quick tip. If you're really about that life, you can go ahead and be an LP for Jewel to Luna, Jewel to X Jewel, and there was one other. And shout out to the good brother Ansem, the God. If you're not following Ansem on Twitter, that's not good. So I want to put it. Yeah, Ansem, ANSEM. I'm gonna actually put it up here too, just so other people watching. Now, this young brother, this is on top of his game. When any new chain comes out, extremely intelligent, extremely well spoken, knows what he's doing. And he's about that life too. So you can check the pinned tweet and you can get all the energy that you need from Ansem. So if you haven't followed him, I highly suggest it. The brother is just on another level. He tweets a lot though, so I have his notifications turned on. Sometimes it can be a lot, but at the end of the day, if you want to learn, these are some of the people you need to be learning from. So I wanted to throw that out there. And sorry, I didn't mean to cut you fully off from the CeFi traditional banking that we had going on there, but I just thought it was a great opportunity to touch on DeFi Kingdoms.
No, that's actually really good, because it brings it made me think of one thing. When I first got into DeFi, I was so skeptical about it because a lot of the interfaces are cartoonish, and you got to think about me, who is coming from a traditional finance background and looking at the just Web 2.0 in finance, like everything is just polished, straight laced, and to go on to these platforms that look like Nintendo games, I'm just like, man, there is no way I'm
and then put thousands of dollars into it.
And put thousands of dollars. I'm like, nah. And so I had to realize that we're talking about developers who have been gaming like their whole life. Of course, if they have to build something without permission, it's going to be the way that they like it. And when that light bulb went off, I was just like, okay, it makes sense. It makes total sense. And then, like, I'm not much of a gamer, but I have cousins and friends that are, and they spend money on games. Like it's nothing for them to stand in line and whatever the new version of whatever game they're into. Like
NBA
they're
2K50.
Yeah, exactly. And then if it's something that they can spend for a better in-game experience, they're going to spend it. And I'm like, okay, this makes sense. This totally makes sense. And then for people that have kids with, you know, that's in the Roblox and stuff like that, it's just,
and then you see why NFTs click, and you're like,
it's the perfect mix. Yeah,
exactly.
I
always find it funny when people are like, well, I just don't get NFTs, or I don't understand it. I'm like, okay, if you drive a nice car, right? You're going to drive that car, but people don't live near you. Only the people that see you driving to work every day know that you have that nice car, maybe the ones that live in your neighborhood. If you take a picture of your nice car and you post it on the gram, now everyone's liking it. You got all these shares. Oh, congratulations, blah, 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 blah. So it's the same type of flex. You know, you own an asset, and that asset represents you digitally. And then everyone's like, oh, wait, this asset is worth how much? That CryptoPunk is worth what? So,
right.
But I did want to say, so Rune, RUNE, Rune to Luna LP, Jewel to X Jewel LP, and Crystal to AVAX LP. LP is liquidity providers for those that don't know. Was the tweet I wanted to read from Ansem, because I went ahead and did that as soon as I could. So I would suggest doing the same if you're out there earning some of those fees. Although now it's a little bit late to the party, but you get where I'm coming from. All right, so we touched on some traditional banking, getting into DeFi, touched on Aave and ETH and the merger, where we see kind of Bitcoin at right now. Was there anything in specific that you wanted to touch on other than those things?
Yeah. So I got a couple of more things here. So
Perfect. Let me go ahead. Yep.
Yeah, Aave, they just I think it was a month or two ago, but they upgraded their protocol to version 3. Let me see if I'm still sharing. All right. So a number of different things that they've done. They've improved the UI, the user interface, so the user experience is much better, it's much more sleek. But there are also a number of other things that they've introduced as well. And one thing that I think is real important, and I've been harping on for a while, is interoperability. So what they've done is they have these portals now, and you can take your Aave tokens. So they've had Aave tokens for a while. So let's say you take your Ethereum and put it on there onto their platform, and then they give you like a wrapped version of that you can go and take that into DeFi. But you all know, if you interacted with blockchains before, a lot of times you have to use a bridge to go to another blockchain, and you know, there's all the fees and things of that sort. But what they are allowing is, with these portals, is you can take that Aave token, that wrapped token, and interact with different blockchains through the Aave protocol. And that the more of this that we see, like the blockchains that do this the best, and the protocols that do this the best, are going to be the winners. So it's created this effect on liquidity, because now it's just like, okay, you know, we've seen it with DeFi protocols. Whoever has, you know, the incentive program for the while, like that's where all the liquidity flows. But take the liquidity, the incentive programs, and also allow you to use like one token over several different blockchains, and just think about like the network effect that's going to have. So it's just like, oh man, I can play in several different sandboxes. So I can go from, you know, from AVAX and take these Avalanche tokens, go on to AVAX, and then take those wrap tokens and then go over here into Solana. So this portals thing is a really big deal, and it's not like just a traditional bridge, like a one-on-one bridge, in the sense it allows you to go to different protocols. So Bankless, they had Stoney on there, and he was breaking down like how these portals work. Really big deal, and I think that's one of the reasons why Aave has been jumping like crazy. They have a few other things that they did, like efficiency mode, so you can borrow up to 98%. In isolation mode. This isolation mode is kind of important, because Aave is they've been known to be a little more conservative with their lending and how much they allow you to lend, and then what assets they put onto the protocol. So now they can bring on more assets onto the protocol by isolating them from the rest of the Aave ecosystem. And that's something that's important because people want to interact with different blockchains and want to interact with different tokens. And so they know that it's important. Like, okay, we have to bring more tokens onto our platform, but how do we do this in a way where it doesn't wreck the whole system? So that's another thing that they did. But just staying in the lane of interoperability, they also are doing this Lens protocol. And I haven't done a lot of homework in it, but basically it's interoperability for your social network, your social profile. And so we know right now, like, how hard it is to build a following on one platform. Like, it's hard. Like, you got to put in a lot of work. You got to be consistent. But what they're doing is basically creating like this graph where you create your profile and it interacts with a whole bunch of different blockchain social profiles. So imagine if you was jumping on Twitter, for example, you got to go do this. You got to put the same energy on the Facebook. But just imagine if you could just build that one profile and now you're popping on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all because you have this one profile and you're basically using that as like your credit line over all these social profiles. So I think that decentralized social media is going to be really big. People they want control over their information. They want control over their social media profiles. And so that's going to take off. But just imagine building one profile on your social media, and then it bridges over all these different other protocols. And that's kind of what they did with the Aave with the V3 as well. You have kind of like your credit line, so to speak, with these portals. So you got your Aave token, and your credit line is good on Solana, it's good on AVAX, it's good on Ethereum, it's good on all these different protocols. Same thing with Lens. You got your one profile, and you're basically lending that out to all these different social media platforms on the blockchain. So I think that's
like one protocol to rule them all.
One protocol to rule them all. And I know there's going to be competition in this. I mean, Solana's going to. I mean, they're going to see this and they're going to be like, man, we gotta win in this space. Either you're going to partner with them or build a better version of this. But I think they're really onto something with this right here.
Yeah, no, definitely. Aave V3, big things coming out, and we've seen the token price increase, dramatically during that. So during that run up, it's up over almost 100%. And speaking of interoperability, and another token that's up almost 100%, Rune. So when we speak of interoperability, Rune, Thorchain, cross chain, it got hacked a while back, and it went real low. And even as recently as in December, I think I was saying that I thought it was a pretty good buy at $5. And it went all the way down to, I think, like $3.50 or something like that. And really quick, I'll pull up where we're at right now with the Rune, because it's been absolutely on a tear. Let me see if I can find it. When trying to find something on the spot, it's a little hectic. There we go. And yeah, so you can see on this weekly, putting that double bottom, it reached the same exact lows as it reached back in July of 2021. Pretty good indication that it could be a good time to buy. And then this is a weekly chart. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Over the past 5 weeks, it is up 257%. So shout out to Rune. Again, I was calling for it to buy it at around 560. So if I would have bought it around 560, I would have been down 50%. But if you would have dollar cost average into that, like you should, anytime you're under that 20-week moving average right here, then obviously it would have worked out really well.
Where is it? Where's Rune off his all-time
high? So it is still currently down from its all-time high, about 41%. Its all-time high was around $22.
All right, so let me ask you this, because I've been evaluating some projects recently based off its all-time high, and I'm trying to figure out, am I looking at it the right way or the wrong way? All right, so is the all-time high from 2021 like a hype all-time high? Like, was it purely hype that got us to the all-time highs, and people were pointing to the project, based on what they believed that it could do. And now that we're off, these percentages down, do I use that as a basis to say, okay, this is a good buy or not? So I hope that makes that question makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. So I to like summarize like the question, basically, okay, just because something is down 50, 70, 80% from its all-time high, does that automatically make it a good buy? Or is there something that kind of points it out more direct that I should be looking for? Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Yeah. So anything that's down from its all-time high more than 90%, there's usually a reason why, right? So you got to figure out exactly what you said in the first part. Is it just down that 90% because people were buying what they didn't know and there was a whole bunch of hype into it and that's why it ran up that high? Or was there, is it a piece of garbage or what they call shitcoin and it's never coming back, right? So knowing that Thor is a good project and then seeing how much it's down, I would like to measure two things. First, measure from the all-time high how far it's down, and that would have been, the 43%. But then let's also measure how far down from its 20-week moving average. This is, to me, the better measurement that you're going to take to find out how good of a buy something is, because the 20-week moving average is a long enough period to give you an average price of like, hey, this asset is normally valued around this average. If you are 90% down from your 20-week moving average, then that would be scary. If you're maybe like 50% down from your 20-week moving average, you're like, okay, now let me see if there's any areas of confluence, meaning, that can back up my thought process here and saying that, okay, if I'm down 50% from its average price, that might be a good time to get in. Is it still a good project? If you know it's still a good project, then I would say 100%. So if we're looking here at Rune, let me go ahead and see what it would be from that 20-week moving average down to the bottom that it hit. And that was about 50%, 55%, right? Let's do another one. So we'll do Solana. It's 20-week moving average, and we'll just go down to the bottom here. Solana was down about 40% from its 20-week, right? So those look like pretty good numbers to me. Let's see. We'll pull up, obviously, Bitcoin. Find it. Bitcoin here. 20% from its 20-week moving average. So again, you can think of the 20-week moving average as kind of like a fair value, right? You're saying, okay, over a long enough period of time, this is what the average price is. So as long as I'm paying close to that, I might not be too upset. And if you can buy something 50% down from what it normally is, then imagine your upside, right? So then when you get that upside, it's going to be, you're not just going to get a 1x or a 2x. You're most likely going to get, 3, 4, 5x's. Obviously, now this is saying, again, not financial advice, but this is with the mindset that we're in a bull run, right? Everything is going up. Everything is going up. So I would say instead of measuring from the all-time high, yes, you can take that measurement, but it would be more sensible, in my opinion, to measure from the 20-week moving average and say, okay, if I'm 50% off my 20-week moving average, is this a good buy? And then correlate that with, do I have previous support, right? So when you see candles moving up in this fashion, then we get like a pause here. And when I say pause, I just mean, okay, there was about, 3 or 4 weeks where it was just pretty much chilling right around that same price. And then, same here, there's a pause there. We got a little pause here, right? So when you get these pauses, those fill out to levels of support. And the more you can find levels of support and correlate that with something else, it'll give you much better decision-making, that, at least for me, I found. So if I see here that, okay, wow, there's a big level of support right here, right? That's a big level of support. So I'm interested in that area. And then I see how far away I am from my 20-week moving average at the bottom. Like, okay, well, that's about 20, 30% off from its 20-week moving average. And then what you can do is you can put a mental note in and say, okay, it's down 30% from its 20-week moving average. It has support here. If I'm not going to continue to dollar cost average and continue to lower my buy-in, then I need to cut my losses at some point. And then that's where you want to look for your next pause. So we got this next pause at around 17. So you need to know that, okay, if I'm going to get this 30% discount, at this support area, then how much would it be if it went all the way down to its next support? And that will put it, was that 17? That'll put it close to like that 50% mark. So you just use those different things in coordination with one each other, and then, you know, try to figure out your best situation, you know, or what you think would work the best. I see Jordan said, I've been hearing about Zill. Any thoughts on that? I know it's like a 3x in the last few days. Yeah, man. So, you know, the time to get the altcoin multiples was when Bitcoin was down here in that 35K range, right? Let's pull up Zill here. Good God. Call that the God. It got the God candle. Straight up.
Yeah.
All right, so let's run this real quick. We're looking for support really quick. Let's throw some supports in here. Obviously, that's one right here. Boom. Bang that out. We got another little level here. This is our previous high. All right, we're going to throw our rectangles up. We're going to take our previous tops and just call all that over. And then we're going to take this previous top. This would be considered a local high. So while we're in this little trend, this was the local highest point. Throw that over. So if I'm just looking at this, I think Zill could definitely run up to at least 22 cents, even from where it's at right now. First things first. And we're still on a weekly here. It's right at this top, so it's facing a little bit of resistance. Bitcoin continues to push up, shouldn't be a problem. If I was looking to buy into Zill, I would try to wait to get it in between 13 cents and 11 cents on that retest, because if you come down to a daily, you'll see it better. And then, so we come up here, we might test up. Maybe we come back down, hit this right here before ultimately going higher. And that will continue market structure up. So that's what I would be. Ooh,
yeah.
That's what I would be looking to get into for Zill. And now let's throw a quick fib on it from our top to our current trend. Yeah, you got some resistance around that 20, 21 cents. So I definitely wouldn't be buying it now. But if you get a retest anywhere to the 20-week moving average, which is 6 cents, 0.67, 0.067, I think then it would be a buy. And then let's see if that's confluent with anything. We got our lows here. So anywhere in this low range. And so, yeah, that's what I would be looking for, Jordan. Hey, shout out to Houston in the building. And you know, guys, I try to do almost everything for free. And if I can't do it for free, I try to do it for very, very, very low cost. So all I ask for you is like, share, subscribe. I call that paying. That's all you got to do to pay. Hashtag don't forget to pay. Shout out to my guy Houston and everyone else that tapped in with me. Winston, was there anything else that you wanted to touch on before we wrap it up?
Yeah, let me ask you this, bro. So I see you using TradingView.
Yeah.
If somebody doesn't have access to something like this, are there any tools out there that they could quickly see like a 20-week moving average or be able to throw fibs onto the chart?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. With TradingView, it's free for everyone, so you can create a free account. And then, I have YouTube videos. You can hop into my Discord, ask all the questions you want. I try to help out as much as possible. I can show you how to do some of these things. If you really, really want to learn, you can join my Patreon, sign up for the Patreon and spend a couple bucks, and we can spend some time and show you through this. And when I say a couple bucks, I mean like $20. So, I don't want anyone to think out here I'm charging crazy. So, but yeah, TradingView works for free. You get all these tools for free. You can set these moving averages. I've made videos before that are on this YouTube, but also if you just join the Discord, which I'll put the link in, we can talk about it there as well.
Yeah, man, that is well worth more than worth the money. Justin, I remember you did like a class with me one time, like a one-on-one thing, and man, that has helped me out so much because I was, man, I'll look up 50 articles about one thing and like, man, I got some links for you. So I'll do the fundamentals all day long, and it gives me strong conviction about a project, and that's how I invest. But there are times where I know I didn't get the best price or somewhere around there, or I didn't set targets where I should have taken some profits. And this is the part of investing that does help you become more well-rounded. And it's definitely something that I've been spending a lot more attention to. So, those of you out there that are kind of intimidated by just looking at the charts, it is a lot when you first look at it. But the more you start to familiarize yourself with the concepts and using the fibs and things of that sort, it does become easier. And I kind of have like a bootleg thing that I did. And I literally, I sat down one day and I just wrote, like I took a piece of paper and then I wrote my different fib levels on a piece of paper. And so that I could quickly just look over at it. I can go to a CoinMarketCap or CoinGet, whatever you like to use. And I'm like, all right, it's a good price and I can buy it. Or it's all right, time
it's
to sell.
time.
Yeah, right. So, whatever you decide to use. But that part of it is really important. So I really encourage people to go look at those videos, check that stuff out.
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, for anyone out there that is willing to learn, like you can just, if you hop in the Discord and just ask questions or even just kind of scroll through, there's a ton of different stuff you can learn. But at the end of the day, it's something that, like Winston just said, it comes with consistency, right? The more you're looking at it, the more you get comfortable with what is resistance, what is market structure, what is a higher high versus a higher low, what is a fib retracement, and the more you do it, all of a sudden it starts clicking. And when you see it work, it'll help, like Winston was saying, round you out as an investor. So, all right, man, we're going to try to keep this under an hour. I appreciate y'all tapping in. We got a last call. If there's any quick charts you want to pull up, you can put them in the chat. Winston, you got any sign-off words?
Just get involved. You're going to get, and I say this all the time, but you're going to be using blockchain whether you like it or not, whether you know it or not, because there are platforms already where you may be interacting with a blockchain and you may not know it. So this is one of those times we are in one of the biggest technology shifts, in history. We saw Web 2.0 come on. And so many of us were like, man, I should have invested in Amazon, Google, so on and so forth at that point. But we are at the next shift. We are at the beginning of the next shift. Please just learn whatever part of it that you like. Just jump into that part of it. But you gotta jump on the train, whether you like it or not, whether you know it or not.
100%. And really, even if you don't, at the end of the day, whether you like it or not, or whether you know it or not, just ask a couple questions, right? Because try to prove someone wrong, right? Try to prove Winston or I wrong. Like, hey, I'm not going to be using blockchain in 5 years because of this. And it's like, okay, well, then we can have that conversation, right? We can get the dialogue going. But, you need to, in my opinion, my humble opinion, you need to be corresponding with some type of person in regards to learning some of this stuff. So I'm going to leave it at that, man. I appreciate everyone tapping in with me. Hashtag don't forget to pay. Catch y'all on the next one.